Thank you so much for listening to Spooky Mountain. My name is Steph.
And I'm Jordi, and Spooky Mountain is a podcast with weekly episodes. We will both have a story each to tell. We will be uploading our very first episode in the next couple of weeks, but we really just wanted to give you all an idea as to what it's about.
Yeah, we will be discussing lots of stories about the paranormal, UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, pretty much everything in between. We both had a lot of experiences as well, so we do tend to touch on these quite a bit every now and again in the episodes.
Yeah, so we will keep you up to date on what we have been getting up to lately and kind of like our plans for the future too. Also, we both grew up in the Blue Mountains, which is, a pretty strange place, pretty haunted, some UFO sightings. And it's actually the place that inspired our podcast name, Spooky Mountain. So, we'll be bringing you some stories from there.
And we both lived in a house together as well, which is what got us bonded on this topic of the paranormal. It's a bit of a spooky house. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of history there. And we feel starting a podcast is the right decision. We've got so much to talk about, and hopefully, we get to hear what you guys have got to say as well and hear some of your stories. So the way it all got started is by Jordi reaching out to me and asking me if I wanted to start a podcast. And I really wanted to ask you, Jordi, how you kind of came to that decision. Was it something you were wanting to do on your own for a while, or was there you were kind of on the hunt for someone for a while? How did this happen?
Yeah, look, I'm a very bored stay-at-home mum, and so no, so
Oh no.
so I needed something to do. No, so it's a mix of a few different things. I'd been considering doing a podcast for a while. I was thinking about doing it for myself. Oh, sorry, with myself, just solo. But that was never something that I wanted to do.
Mm.
Um, but I never really I don't know too many people who are this far into the paranormal as what I am,
Yeah.
apart from you and a couple other people. But like you and I have lived together, we had discussions about the paranormal. Also,
Mm.
Steph was kind of like doing videos on like UFO and alien stuff, and I knew that it was like a huge interest for Steph. And also, you were starting to put out content on YouTube, on Instagram. And so I actually, before I reached out to Steph, I took a few days to really consider it, to consider reaching out because I felt really silly. I felt really stupid. I thought I was gonna
Oh.
just, seem, like an idiot. So, yeah, and then I decided, like, no, fuck it, just go for it. So, yeah, and then I reached out to Steph
I'm so
and
glad you reached
I'm
out.
really glad and you know what? Just a little bit of an interesting fact for those listening. Steph and I have been planning this podcast now for ages, and every single day we're working on stuff and we're planning things and we're editing and doing all this shit.
So much stuff.
But
Yeah.
Steph and I, so obviously we've met, but we haven't been face to face in person together this whole time that we've been
Yeah,
planning and
that's
organizing this
true.
podcast because of the pandemic, and also we live a little bit of distance from each other. So that's just a bit of fun info.
Yeah, I was thinking the other day because I was actually unpacking some boxes because I've moved in the past. Well, actually, it's now August. I moved like now 10 months ago now, think about it. But I was unpacking some boxes and I actually found your artwork that I bought off you. And that was the last time I saw you, which was literally like 4 years ago.
Well, we haven't seen each other
It's so
for like
long.
4 years.
I know.
It's crazy, and because we
Yeah.
speak so often now, I
Mm.
feel like we've seen each other, and because we did both grow up in the Blue
Yeah.
Mountains, we would see and we live together. We would see each other a lot, like we have a lot of mutual friends, and so I do feel like I've seen
It
you.
just keeps naturally happening where we keep bumping into
Yeah,
each other. I don't know, it's just been, yeah, we've known each other for a really
yeah.
long time, but I feel like this is just
I
naturally
think
how
so.
it's meant to happen
It's
because it's
really
really good.
nice.
Because, yeah, you do tend to know a hand. I feel like that's with everyone, really, like a very small handful of people that are really into like your niche
Yes. Yeah.
subject. And you kind of really hold on to
Yeah.
those people.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
And
for sure.
it's really exciting to be able to get to do something with it.
The only other person that is like this kind of into the paranormal that I have in my life is like my mum.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that's pretty much
You
it.
know what?
And I don't,
My
yeah.
mum listens to all my Bigfoot stories that I think she's
Yeah.
listening, but like the long car rides, I'll be
Yeah.
like, did you
Yeah.
know?
Did you
So she's
know?
happy to listen to it all. So
Oh, that's nice. So, Steph, what about yourself? Had you ever, like, before I reached out to you, had you ever considered, doing a podcast? Because as I said, like, you had started kind of making your own content before we started this podcast. Had you thought about, doing a podcast? And if you had thought about doing a podcast, was it a paranormal podcast that you would think about?
if I was if I was to do a podcast, it was absolutely going to be exactly what we're talking about because I'm not like I go to sleep every night listening to a podcast that's going to be about mostly it's Sasquatch Chronicles, I'll be completely honest. That is gold. So I usually listen to that or some really spooky stuff. So I'm like very
Mm,
deep into it for like years. This is all I listen to. It's and then when I'm watching TV shows, I mean, I've just been watching X Files for like the past 5 months. That's all I do. So I feel like the podcast, I never really, I don't
mm,
know why, like I
mm,
just never really allowed myself to think of doing a podcast because I didn't really think of anyone. I didn't really go on the hunt to look for anyone. I was just like, oh man, that's not gonna happen. Like I don't think anyone wants to do it. So I
mm.
just didn't, which sucks. But as you said, like I was
Yeah.
releasing content of kind of other things I was interested in. Like I was to playing this
Mm,
game called City Skylines. I was really obsessed with that for a while, and but yeah, this is something that has been the topic on the paranormal has been a lifelong hobby and interest that I've had, and I never really knew how to output that
mm,
um
mm.
interest. It's a
Yeah.
very weird
Yeah.
way to, so I think this is really a really good way, which a lot of people do. I mean, there's so many podcasts, but we've had experiences as well. So
Yeah, and like I think before I kind of noticed you putting out your own stuff on like
mm,
social media and stuff, I hadn't even really like seriously considered doing a podcast. It was
mm,
honestly seeing you putting stuff out there that I was like, hey, like this could be a
yeah.
chance for me to like reach out to someone and do something that is like really
I know the
exciting.
one that drew you in. It was the one of me reading the alien story from the book.
Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah,
what it was. Because I
yeah.
was like, this is great. Like, I would
I
love to
know.
do this
I
with
had
you,
so many
like
people
together.
messaging me about that, and I was like, because I bought this book called The Gosford Files, which is about, yeah, just about this place in New South Wales where this woman literally investigates all these alien sightings in the 90s, and it's
Mm-hmm.
incredible. Like just tiny little snippets of stories, and I was like, I could literally just sit here and read out these little stories
Yep.
all day.
Yeah.
I loved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And that's essentially kind of, oh, it's not, it's very similar to what we do on
Mm,
the podcast is we research our own stories for that week. And then, we'll have some like talking in the beginning and we do try to keep it
creepy.
but
Yeah.
yeah, creepy and related to the paranormal, and we try not to venture too far outside of the paranormal
Mm,
realm. But then we read our stories that we've put a lot of love into
yeah.
like researching and something that we find interesting ourselves.
Yeah, and we don't tell each other what the episode's going to be either. So each
Yes, that's a big
episode,
thing.
we're always surprised as what it's going to be. We give each
Yeah,
other a
I
little
love
hint,
that.
so we're not going to accidentally
Yep,
do the same one.
yeah,
But
yep. And then the stuff that you don't hear is, we'll finish the recording, but then even after we finish recording, we're still kind of being like, oh my God,
mm,
that's so exciting,
yeah,
and still talking about paranormal stuff. So
yeah,
it's safe to say that we're both very passionate about this, I think.
definitely, yeah, yeah.
And I think, we're learning and we're growing as like just in terms of the podcast itself in,
Yeah.
you know, how to do things in the best kind of way. So
Absolutely. Even by the second
yeah.
recording we did it, we were like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, it's just so much better." We've already improved by the second episode, so
Hugely. Yeah,
it's
hugely.
yeah.
And so maybe we should just quickly also touch upon the fact that, we both have had um some paranormal experiences separately. I
Mhm.
don't want to go too far into it because we really like to tell these stories or like talk about what we've experienced while we're recording our episodes.
Mm.
But yeah, just another bit of background info is that we both have lived in this house in Katoomba in the Blue Mountains that was, very, very haunted. And
Mm.
how do you
A lot of people have had
a lot
experiences
of
there.
yeah, like how do you feel like this do you feel like this house has because I we did kind of touch on upon it in one of our episodes, but let's just talk about it again. Like, do you
Mm.
feel like this house has kind of shaped you in any kind of way or had an influence on your life?
Yeah, I think it definitely has. Absolutely. I think because yeah, I grew up there. My mum owned it at the time, and I lived there with my sisters. And I mean, the house itself was just a really lovely, like, nice, cozy cottage house. But then again, it did have this whole weird paranormal aspect to it, which
Yeah.
people would come in out and visit us, and it was always definitely going to stick with us for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I noticed about this
Hmm.
house is that it's very like juxtaposed because it's a beautiful little cottage in the
Hmm.
mountains, and looking at it, it's physically beautiful. Like
Yeah,
every
big
friend that I had,
garden. Yeah,
beautiful garden. The kitchen was amazing. Like there's fireplaces and everything throughout it. So
yeah,
yeah, like beautiful little bathroom. It's really lovely. But then it's almost like as night falls, or just
yeah.
when you're alone, it just
That's it.
almost takes on this new
You always feel like you're
feeling.
never alone when you
Yeah,
are. It's very strange. You just feel a little bit
always on edge.
unsettled. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, I remember, when I would be in my bedroom, if I was sleeping in my bedroom alone,
Mhm.
like I would be falling asleep and something would just like I had to open my eyes and just make sure there was nothing standing there, like constantly just making sure there's nothing there.
Oh, you're brave. I could not. I would just keep my eyes
Yeah.
closed. I'm like, take me with
Yeah.
my eyes closed.
Oh,
Like,
no,
this is
I
it."
had to know. I had to know if there was something there.
Oh, I'm too much of a wuss.
But yeah, I guess
Oh my god.
just also talking about the podcast, like we down the track, we're going to be starting up a Patreon so that we're going to be able to bring to you guys some extra content, bonus
Yeah,
episodes.
we've got lots of ideas for bonus
Yeah, lots of like
episodes.
drunk as
Yeah.
fuck episodes, and we could
Yeah.
hopefully once COVID is a bit more chilled the fuck out, we could go for a
Yeah.
ghost hunt, which I would
Oh,
love to do, stuff like that.
yes. That would be so fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we got a lot of ideas, a lot of plans. We know it's only the beginning, but we really hope you guys enjoy it, and we'd love for you to subscribe to whatever podcast app you have, and follow us on Instagram, Facebooks to keep up to date on when our first episode is going to drop. So it's probably going to be 1 or 2 weeks from here on out, I think.
I think so. I think yeah, not too far away. I think we just need to get one more recording in, and then we're right as rain.
Yeah, appreciate you guys listening. Bye.
Bye. This episode of Spooky Mountain was created and recorded on land of the original custodians, the Gundungurra and Bidjigal people. We pay respects to the past, present, and emerging mob. My name is Jordi, and I'm a proud Gunya woman. Thank you for listening.